On this week's episode of the Buffalo Community Podcast, we talk about sports, we talk about podcasting, we talk about Buffalo Days, and anything else that really kind of pops up into our head over the next 30 minutes or so.
This is the Buffalo Community Podcast, all about the greatest small town in the USA, the people in it, and how it all works together. Here are your hosts, Tyler Reese and Mark Benzer.
Hey, Mark, it is good to be with you, at least digitally, to record another episode of the Buffalo Community Podcast. I'm really thrilled that we have some technology that allows us to do this these days.
Exactly. Yeah, it wouldn't be possible without it. That's for sure.
Absolutely not. So when we decided to record one of these episodes, we said, well, what are we going to talk about this week? We don't want it to be super COVID related because I think we're all a little bit over that. We don't want to downplay it, but we're a little bit over that.
Right.
So let's talk about things that actually make us happy.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. Well, I don't know if the lack of sports makes us happy.
Right.
But
I think, it's, everything's probably going to have a COVID spin on it.
Yeah.
Boy, I tell you, I miss sports.
Yeah, I know you're a huge baseball guy, and you should be watching Twins games, and they should be how many games in? I don't know, 4 or 5?
Yeah. Probably 15.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you can tell how much of a baseball fan.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, opening day was supposed to be, early in the season, they do take days off for bad weather.
But this is been one of the best weather springs we've had in a long time.
Right. So, I miss that. I think what me and so many other baseball lovers appreciate about baseball is that the daily, where you can kind of count on every day there's going to be a baseball game, oftentimes at night. And usually you tune in and you catch the first couple innings. And if it doesn't grab you for all 9, you eat dinner, you do the dishes, you help kids with homework, you do this or that. And then you kind of check back into it 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. And all the while it's, in the background or.
It's good white noise for me. Tinkering out in the garage, just have it playing. To me, that's how I view baseball or listen to it. A lot easier than listen or watching on TV. Yep. I love going to a baseball game.
It's the best.
And that might not happen for another year.
Right.
To be quite honest.
Yeah, I guess if I had to put money on it, I would bet on it not happening.
Yeah. They might play.
Right.
But fans in the stands, I doubt it.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more about sports, kind of a local legend, not legend, but he's a sportscaster, Phil Mackey. I've been listening to his podcast and him on the radio. He gets to talk about sports all the time, and he gets paid for it,
right?
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
They've been doing some variations of their show as well. I found him on, I was searching Minnesota podcasts, and I found him on that. So his podcast is Mackey and Judd with Rami. So if you are listening for a sports-related podcast specifically, and you want to listen to a Buffalo guy, listen to him. They're very knowledgeable. I was listening to him before we started recording here.
Yeah.
So it kind of got me in that sports.
He's probably way better than us, too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I listen to a professional.
Yeah, when you get sick of listening to the amateurs, if you haven't already gotten sick of it, you can go listen to a professional.
Yeah, and they're all good. I don't hear a lot of ums and ahs and what are we talking about?
Yeah.
So that's really fun. You learn a little bit from them. And
yeah, well, I think, we struggle with the challenge of, what are we going to do this week? You got 6 days to figure it out, you know, whereas these professional sports guys, these radio guys, not just sports, I guess news is probably a little bit easier just because there is news every day. Granted, it's COVID news, but in sports, you don't have a Twins game to break down every single day. You don't have a Wild playoff game to break down. You don't have a Vikings, game coming up or a Vikings game to review. It is every day filling a 3-hour radio show with something that hopefully people care about. That's got to be a huge challenge. And something I'd like to ask Phil is just man, how hard does it get?
Right. How many people behind the scenes are working on that, or is it completely self-generated? I know, was it yesterday or day before they showed the 91 World Series game 6 or 7, the one with the catch.
Yesterday was game 6.
Yep. So that I kind
see
of
it
like
tomorrow
that.
night.
I kind of like that throwback. I was still pretty young at that time. I don't remember. I remember having a Homer hanky, but
Sure.
that's about it.
Yeah. And I haven't had much. What I would really like to do, I was 10. But I have very little memory of any of it.
Sure.
So I do think I could, in a way, watch it all for essentially the first time.
Yep.
Even while knowing the outcome. I haven't been able to do that, but it is something I would love to just be, sit down and say, hey, this was a huge moment that nobody talks about. It wasn't the catch, it wasn't the walk-off home run, but here's a huge moment in game 2 that really impacted the whole series.
Yeah.
I don't have really much of that.
For me, my throwback would be the 1998 season of the Vikings, and more specifically against the Falcons. I was at a wrestling tournament that day. I remember it was dead quiet. We had the radio going, and I'm getting goosebumps talking about it right now. And I don't remember everything leading up because I was 11 at that time, almost 11. But kind of going back, and I actually found the game on YouTube, and I rewatched it, and I thought, gosh, we should have won that game. We should have won that game.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, 98, that was a tough one. That was rough.
Yeah.
I was a little bit older. Would have been my senior year of high school. So, yeah, that kind of paralleled my, the year of football that we had in 98.
You guys went to the section finals, didn't you? I was at that game.
Yeah.
Again, you and I both grew up on the same street, so just geographically, we're basically at every game.
Yeah, exactly. My mom used to open the windows and listen to the game on KRWC.
Yep, absolutely.
So she could hear the crowd and then get the play. So hopefully she's okay with me sharing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was fun times. The late 1900s.
Yeah, that's what makes you sound so old. Yeah, I totally agree. We all miss those professional sports, but your kids are in sports. My kids are in soccer. I'll call that a sport. Little kid soccer. I'm going to miss that. I don't think there has been any call that it's going to be canceled. I'm mentally preparing for it.
Yeah.
And, what are we going to do? Well, we'll just play soccer in the yard.
Right.
We'll go for bike rides. I think we're going to do a lot of that this summer. Some things that have changed already for this summer is the delay or the postponement of Buffalo Days.
Yes.
They don't have a postponement date of when it is going to be that I'm aware of, but they did recently just say, it's not going to be in June like we all remember.
Right.
It'll be a modified version of Buffalo Days.
At some point.
Probably.
Right.
Yeah. There's a lot of asterisks here when any announcement is made.
Yeah. But we know it's not going to be a modified version of Buffalo Days in June, right?
Right.
It's not.
I think they're
nothing's happening in June.
Nothing's happening.
Nothing. We're hopeful that at some point we can have some sort of Buffalo Days type celebration.
Yeah. I doubt there's going to be a parade.
Doubt it.
Yeah. I was talking with a local business owner who sells ice cream treats. Who shall remain nameless. Go back to episode 4.
Right.
And the possibility of maybe getting a fall festival in Buffalo. We don't really have much. I doubt it'll be this year because, for the obvious reasons.
Right.
But that'd be kind of a cool thing to put on the calendar every year. And what do you do? That old-fashioned street dance. You get the DJ, maybe close down Division Street there, get a beer garden, get some music. I don't know, maybe a bags tournament.
Oktoberfest.
That'd be great.
Oh.
Yes, that'd be great. And, Oktoberfest, I believe, is usually in September.
Yeah.
I don't think that's actually in October in Germany.
Right.
I do believe it's in September.
Randy Latzig talked about it. I don't remember what he had to say about it.
He did like beer. I think that's
and he liked Oktoberfest.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he wanted to go back there.
What a great guest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, can you just imagine what the Division Street would be like, blocked out, closed down with music,
nice fall weather.
I
think there's a lot of cool things that you could do with it, especially with the Street Party of Hope. You could really tie in a lot of
food
cool
trucks.
Things. It just bringing people back
Yep.
downtown. Food, I like that, food trucks. Man, I'm getting hungry.
Yeah.
Call them up.
I don't know where we'll put them. We'll
figure it out.
We'll figure it out. Yeah.
We're idea guys, Mark.
Yeah.
We're idea guys. So
Yeah.
somebody else put this together, We definitely love being a part of that if that ever comes to fruition. Thanks, Brady. Oh, name dropped there.
Yep.
For kind of putting that seed in the ground there,
Mm-hmm.
making it happen. And of course, probably everybody that's going to be involved between the chamber, the city of Buffalo. Maybe we get this thing off the ground, at least get the wheels turning with a lot more people.
Yeah.
And then the first one. I mean, look at Kites on Ice,
Sure.
which seems like ages ago, but
It wasn't.
in its second year, I mean, they had 3,000 or 4,000 people there
Right.
in sub-freezing weather.
Right.
We're talking about nice weather.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we've yet to have good weather for Kites on Ice. I wasn't able to make it this year, but.
This year, temperature-wise, is pretty good.
Okay.
I think they could have used a little bit more wind,
Lack of wind. Yeah.
but it was sunny. It was nice. A lot of people came out. It was great. I miss those town events.
Yeah.
Period. And I'm looking forward to the next time we do. So everybody keep their eyes peeled, and we will get through all this.
Yeah. Yeah. Certainly not announcing Oktoberfest. Certainly not saying this is going to happen. Want to be clear on that.
Yeah.
This is just
It's not a binding contract.
right. We just think it's a neat idea.
Absolutely.
If somebody wants to run with it.
Oh, yeah. Anything we come up with here, never take it in all too seriousness. So everybody, that's a warning for everybody. For everybody.
Yeah.
Growing up, what was your favorite part of Buffalo Days?
It was fireworks.
Mm-hmm.
There was trying to think of my choices: fireworks, carnival,
Parade,
not a big
coronation.
Yep. But yeah, I think fireworks, kind of when you get to that age of when your parents might have cut you loose with your buddies, and you could kind of terrorize downtown Buffalo for a night.
Yeah.
And that's a good memory. Carnival was fun. I'm sure it was.
Are you much of a carnival / ride person now?
No.
Me either.
I guess it's been so long since I've been on a ride.
Yeah.
I can't even,
God, they're horrible.
Yeah.
Went to Valley Fair last year with the kids. Yeah. With some other friends and their kids. Oh man.
Isn't that funny?
I was ready to die at noon.
Yeah.
I think we got there at 11. I don't like rides, but it's a sacrifice.
Did you used to?
I think so.
Yeah.
But
I think so too.
But maybe in my early 20s, I was like,
Yeah.
I don't really care for this.
We just got a trampoline, and I was jumping on the trampoline, and it was not like I remembered it.
It's like, how did I do this for an hour?
Yeah. I was like, this used to be fun, and now it's like, it's not the same.
I'm terrified of trampolines. I'm like, keep the kids on the ground.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely terrified. Not for only the fact that I don't want my kids to, crack their heads open or break their collarbones.
Exactly. And you guys had one in the neighborhood.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We did a lot of dumb stuff on a trampoline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at us now.
Who would have thought? Just look at us. Who would have thought we'd be here?
Yeah.
Not me. Not
Right.
me. So anybody can name that meme. Go ahead. Make a comment right there. Have you seen that with Paul Rudd? He's on the Hot Ones podcast, and they're where they eat chicken wings and talk about it. I'll show it to you later.
That sounds awesome.
But we should get some chicken wings
Yeah.
next time.
Exactly.
Ugh.
Oh.
Okay. Well, some other things that we might talk about. Well, this one's a little bit personal for me.
Yeah.
And a lot of the business owners downtown, they probably know him as well. The people call him Tim the Whistling Mailman. Guy is always happy, kind of dancing and singing, or always talking on his Bluetooth.
Yeah.
I call him Dad.
Sure.
But, he retired this week. It was his last day of work at the post office. He had nearly 33 years in, a little over 33 years, and finally retired, which I'm so incredibly happy for him. I know I got a few messages from business owners. Hey, we didn't know your dad was retiring this day. We thought it was, at the end of the month.
Yeah.
But they all know him that he really liked to take vacation just about every month over the last couple of years. And it was about the most Tim the Mailman thing you could do by taking your last 3 weeks off as vacation.
Sure.
So congrats, Dad, on that.
Yeah, I think that's pretty awesome. I mean, as far as, at least pretend, I have no reason to believe he didn't love what he did.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And, so I'm sure it's, having my dad retire and your dad now retiring, I've thought about that and how difficult it must be to decide you no longer are going to work for a paycheck, and how much thought and how scary it could be to say, I'm going to cross that line.
Yep.
And that's got to be, no matter how prepared you are,
Terrifying.
no matter
for me,
no matter what you've nestled away, no matter how to say, okay, I'm no longer going to wake up in the morning and go to work.
Yeah.
A, for a paycheck, and B, for somewhat my purpose.
Right. I might just whittle today or cut the grass twice.
Right. So exciting. Happy for Tim.
Yep.
And downtown Buffalo is going to look a little different. I mean, he's a big part of it.
Yeah.
All those pieces work together, right?
Absolutely.
And so.
But their new guy, he's pretty good too. So, Troy, if you are listening to this, take care of my dad's route. I know where you live.
Yeah.
Maybe some other things that popped into my mind is our podcast. I'm going to try this technological piece of equipment out and see if it actually works. Nope, that's the wrong button. Let's see here. Okay, folks, stay with me here. Oh my goodness, I don't know where any of this is. Okay, we're not going to do that.
Okay.
I do want to thank everybody for listening to our podcast, and we can be found on anywhere you listen to all of your major podcast apps, including iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, I believe, is one, or anyway, they feed out to all your major podcast apps, and of course, we're on YouTube and Facebook. So if you can, go ahead and subscribe or follow or share, comment, leave a review. We really appreciate it, and it helps us get new listeners. So let's kind of get back to talking about the random stuff that we talk about, maybe our podcast in general.
Yeah.
So what in 3 sentences, how would you have described the podcast so far? Just kind of the whole evolution of it.
3 sentences.
That's one.
Evolving. How about words instead of sentences?
Yeah, that's good.
It is evolving, period.
Yeah.
It's a learning process.
Absolutely. Every week is a little bit different. Learn a little bit more, like my little gaff right there. I thought I had everything loaded up into the piece of equipment, but proved to be not true.
And I would also say for anybody out there that it's a great tool to get yourself out there.
Absolutely.
We have since the beginning evolved into, part of it out of necessity so that we can podcast responsibly during COVID.
Absolutely.
So that's required some additional equipment and things like that. But that equipment also improves the quality greatly. But you don't need much more than
your iPhone,
an iPhone and the headphones that come with it.
Absolutely.
And so I would say, in long story longer, that you can do it too.
Yep.
And you don't have to apply and get hired to be a podcast host.
That might be the biggest surprise that I think people have the wrong idea of what podcasting is. Apple did not contact us.
No.
Like podcast.
Quite the opposite, actually.
It actually took 2 weeks to get listed on iTunes.
Yeah.
So, I think I think you could just download your app and then upload an episode. I was unaware of feeder websites, which you upload it to one of these websites. We use Buzzsprout. I'm kind of the tech guy behind all of this, so you might be learning some of this for the first time.
I definitely am.
We upload to buzzsprout.com, and they have different plans from free up to $25 a month or something like that. But we can upload, I think, 3 or 4 hours a month for $12, and they'll keep it forever. And then they will feed it out to all our sites. So it's not as much work to get to those places.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun. And you can schedule all this stuff. Oftentimes we record a couple of days ahead of time, and we upload everything, and we push schedule. It's a lot more simple than, upload it here, make it go active, just streamline everything.
Right.
Some things I've learned in the process was an app called PodMN, and that is an app. Go to your app store or iTunes store. PodMN has got a lot of different Minnesota apps, and I was just wondering, well, what else about Minnesota can we listen to? And we submitted there. You can find us on PodMN as well. So that was kind of a cool thing. Things that are trending right now, like Garage Logic, that's a Minnesota-based podcast. Mackie and Judd with Rami, Royce Unchained, Purple Daily, that's a Score North app right there. Mm-hmm. So we're in good company.
Yeah,
we were riding the coattails of real pros.
One of these things is not like the others.
Yeah, absolutely. But it has been tremendously fun doing this.
Yeah. So I would say that, if you're anything like me and you think it's a good idea, but realistically you're probably just too scared to do it.
Yeah.
2 pieces of advice, or 2 options for you would be, you can do what I did and find somebody who's not scared to do it.
Me.
Yep. Or the other thing you can do is just do it anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you will quickly learn that it's not scary. I think realistically, probably if you're like me, you fear the failure. You fear doing it and having nobody listen to it.
Yeah. Well, I hate to break it to you, Mark. There are billions of people that still don't listen to this podcast.
Right. So, yeah, exactly.
Billions, in like 7.5 billion at least.
Right.
So,
I think I did. And I think you listened to this other podcast too, but if the reason you're not doing it is because you feel like there's too many podcasts out there, I don't know the stat. You're just flat out wrong.
Right.
Like some people would go so far as to say everybody should have a podcast.
Yeah.
Not just an insurance salesman, not just a real estate agent. Everybody could and should have a podcast that has a story to tell, or
not even a story to tell.
Yeah.
It could be the fact that you like G.I. Joes.
Right.
You're going to find a lot of other people that like G.I. Joes too, and find it a lot easier to talk about things I'm passionate about.
Yep.
Whether it's guests or real estate or my family or the city of Buffalo or the surrounding area. It's really fun. It's been way more fun than I anticipated.
And we anticipated it would be fun.
Yeah. So that tells you a lot about ourselves.
Yeah. So,
and there's certain inspirations that have come from the podcasts that I listen to. I'm sure you as well. And I've got everybody subscribed to the ones that they like to listen to. Do you have any on your list that you might want to share with us?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Whether professionally, I enjoy listening to the Insurance Guys podcast. That's kind of my go-to. They record generally about once a week with tons of heavy hitters in the industry.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, I don't know if I'm sure this happens in real estate. It happens in every sales role, I think, is you go somewhere, you go to a conference, you go to a rally, and then they bring in a speaker or they bring in a high performer, and that person energizes you, they motivate you. You're like, I love this person's approach. You take a few notes. You wish you could implement it all at once, but you're like, I'm going to do this one thing.
Yeah.
And then nearly 100% of the time, the notes go in your desk and you kind of just keep doing what you've always done, getting the results that you've always gotten.
Yep. Until you add that extra thing.
Yeah.
Next year's conference, you add that extra thing.
Right.
And that extra, and all of a sudden you've got 15 arrows in your quiver instead of 2.
So I'm a real sucker for professional improvement. Yeah. I love it. Some people hate it. Some people hate going to the meetings and the speakers because they've been there and they've done that. And I love it. And what Insurance Guys podcast provides, instead of that once a year sales meeting, whatever, it's that weekly shot of motivation.
Motivation, adrenaline.
Yeah.
Gets you started.
Yep.
Actually, you turned me on to that podcast, and then turned me on to a real estate podcast because you had him as a guest.
Yep.
And that's the Massive Agent podcast, very specifically to real estate.
Yep.
People outside of real estate probably won't like it, but I've also listened to your insurance one.
Right.
Some things that I follow is You Betcha Radio. That's a local.
Yeah.
When I say local, I mean the Midwest guy,
yep.
I'm sure, including the Massive Agent podcast, the Insurance Guys podcast. And then some personal ones. I really like gambling podcasts, or You Can Bet on That. It's a gambling podcast.
Yep.
It's these two best friends out in San Diego, and they talk about their casino runs for the last 40 years. Mm-hmm. They go and play craps together, and it's just kind of fun banter.
Yep.
Which kind of entertaining. Just two old fuddy-duddies talking about basically the same thing. Yep. It's very entertaining, and for me, I kind of pick up tips on how to podcast a little bit better. They're in the 200s in their episodes. Sure. And then a couple of guys from Long Island as well on that. So that was more like personal fun, mowing the lawn podcast.
Yep.
Where the rest of them are pretty much business related. Again, I just downloaded the Mackie and Judd with Rami on the Score North app. I really like listening to that now, especially with the lack of sports. Mm-hmm. You get to listen to some great ones. And then, of course, the mother of them all, the Gary V audio experience.
Right, yeah.
So...
yeah, no, that covers a lot of what I kind of been getting into you like The Office, right?
I love it.
The Office Girls podcast is really fun because
Jenny listens to that.
They give you the behind the scenes, and then as you're listening to it, you're like, oh, I can't wait to watch this episode. So you jump on Netflix and you watch much differently than you would, maybe they talked about something that was going on in the background. And so of a particular scene you're watching, this is what they're talking about. And
you've listened to that? You've listened to that podcast?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I think I'll have to start that because that's our white noise in the background. The Office is always on.
Yep.
Even down to where my kids, before they go to bed, is, can we just watch one episode of The Office? Yeah. And judge if you want.
Yeah, right.
They're all right, but they like it.
Yep.
So I'll have to listen to that one.
No shortage of good podcasts out there, and I think even your You Can Bet on That podcast is a perfect example of what we were talking about 2 minutes ago, of start a podcast about anything that you're passionate about, and don't worry, don't fear failure, just start.
I think maybe we can...
and let it evolve.
Yeah, maybe we can... coin a phrase of just do it.
I like it.
This is not copyright infringement or any
Yeah.
way, shape, or form of the Buffalo Community Podcast. So, well, I think that's coming up to about the 30-minute mark of this episode.
Yeah.
Episode 10 of the Buffalo Community Podcast. Some things that looking for is back to some normalcy, when we can get Buffalo Days back in its modified version, sports, but I'm really looking forward to some nice weather coming up.
Yeah.
Looking at the forecast, we're going to see some mid to high 60s, and
Yeah.
can't wait to get back outside for a long time.
That makes everything a little bit more tolerable.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and somebody make Oktoberfest happen.
Yep. You can contact us by going to buffalocommunitypodcast.com or buffalocommunitypodcast@gmail.com. You can send us there, or you can always send us messages. You know where to find us.
Yeah.
For the Buffalo Community Podcast, I am Tyler Reese.
Mark Benzer.
Have a great day, and we will see you next week.